Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast. Celebrating our 400th episode. I can't believe it. I really want to have a jingle made for the podcast. You know how there's some of the most iconic brands have jingles that will be stuck in our head. So those of you who, my US listeners, you know this one. Living Spaces or Nationwide is on your side. And if we go way back, my Midwesterners know 1-888-2300 Empire. I think I got the number wrong, but I want to have a jingle is my point. Any ideas? Leave me a voice DM on Instagram at ProjectME with Tiffany, and I'm really not kidding. I am so appreciative of all of my longtime listeners, my new listeners. Thank you so much for being such great supporters of the show. I do the show for you. Yes, it's fun for me. Yes, I make a lot of money from it, but I make a lot of money from this show because I focus on doing it for you, which is one of the key things that you're going to hear a little bit about today in this replay of our live podcast that we did on Instagram Live. So if you missed it, you're getting the replay. So it's a mix of fun shenanigans, random discussions about cheeses, and just a real straight up take on podcasting and what it takes. And also all the stuff you tell yourself that you think is required that's really not, because our brains come up with all sorts of stuff when we're scared about doing something. We'll make it seem 1,000 times harder. I am notorious for this. I can do this in every area of my life. This is why it took me 10 years to do ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the business coaching, brand, and podcast. 10 years I had the idea, you guys. So I don't want you sitting on something that you want to do any longer because you don't know where to start, how to start. It all sounds like too much, the tech, the this, the that. You know, then at that point, it's better for you to actually hire someone to edit the episodes for you, or hire me, or join my ProjectME Posse Group coaching program and learn how to monetize it and how to set things up strategically and properly. Otherwise, you're just never going to start and you're never going to do it. This is exactly why my first hire for me, and everyone's different. You might be someone who can totally do this on your own and figure it out. And I don't judge that. My guest, Andrea Ashley, did this majority of it on her own, but she also had the luxury of time to be able to do that on her own. So I always like giving like the disclosure of she had the time, and I just knocked my cup against the counter. Sorry about that. She had the time. She also had the like tenacity to do it and wasn't afraid of the tech. And I know that's a real fear for a lot of you, because I have that, and I had that. So I hired the people, because if I didn't, the cost involved of me not hiring the people to help me start it, guess what? It still wouldn't have started, and I wouldn't be here talking to you guys and helping you and making the impact, let alone all the money made from the show. So you've got to take a look at what is it costing you to not get help, or to not pay for accountability, or to not pay for clear direction, or the actual tech stuff getting done. You know, what is it costing you? Is it costing you from preventing and delaying your dream? What is it costing you in the possibility of it working really well and you helping millions and millions of people with your story and your gifts and your knowledge and your experience. I want to make sure you know this, because in celebration of the 400th episode, I have opened up new membership spots inside my exclusive ProjectME Posse group coaching membership. This is where every single week you get a live training from me or other special guest experts on everything you need to know to go from zero to $15,000 a month consistently in your business. If you're past that $15,000 a month in making money online, I like to specify online. We focus on making money online, passive income, making money while you sleep. That's the main focus here. So you could be a lawyer, a realtor, an accountant, and you're making money like in real life, right? And getting referrals and stuff like that. But if you're over making $15,000 a month online, then it'd be a better fit to apply to work with me privately. But these spots for new members for the Posse don't come up very often because people end up staying in the Posse for a long time. You can cancel at any time. This is month to month. It's only $3.33 a day. I've taken the cost part out of it. Like, your ass spends more on coffee and random celery juice drinks a week than what this costs you, where you're learning from me and other special guest experts live. Plus you get a membership portal that has over 180 prior live trainings, everything from how to create reels, everything from how to batch your content, hashtags, what to post, identifying your ideal client, my famous profitable niche training. All of that is inside the Posse. So just go to projectmewithtiffany.com/ProjectMe Posse, projectmewithtiffany.com/ProjectMe Posse. So we have a handful of spots left. Right now, there's an exclusive bonus where for signing up, because of the 400th episode celebration, you are getting my content creation made easy course that's included. So that by itself has over a $250 value, and you're getting that for free just for signing up. The link is in the show notes, so you can swipe up to get that and enjoy this replay of the craziness of doing a live podcast with my guest, Andrea Ashley. She started her podcast last March, so March 2021. So it's just over a year old. She already has 200,000 downloads, over 600 5-star reviews, which you guys need to be leaving a 5-star written Apple Podcast review or Spotify review of the show in order to say thank you and help me celebrate the 400th episode, by the way. We need those reviews or I'm going to be really upset. So she has had breakout success. Her show is in the recovery world, so it's more in the mental health space, trauma space, which is, there's a lot of podcasts on that topic too. But she's had a breakout success show, and she's done it pretty much on a super low budget, mostly by herself. So I wanted to have her on as a guest so you can see two different perspectives. My show was a little slower to grow and then really blew up. And I didn't do anything but record, like what I'm doing right now and talking to you. I hired a producer. I hired a podcast coordinator because I knew if I had to do any of the tech, if I had to edit stuff, I was never going to start. And she had a very different approach, which was pretty much doing it all herself. And neither is better or more right than the other. So I wanted you to hear two different perspectives, and then you guys can mix and match what feels best for you. So enjoy the episode. Love you guys so much. Thank you for celebrating with me. And I appreciate you guys being along for this beautiful ride. This is stuff that no one is probably going to tell you about starting a podcast from scratch on a low budget and then scaling it and actually making money from it. I noticed in the podcasting world, a lot of people don't want to share like their secrets on how they've really grown their show, because it's almost like they're afraid if they share that, their show won't continue to grow.
Wait,
but
somebody said that some avoidance avoid condiments like they avoid situations.
Yeah. So we're going to give you the 411. And thank you for the congratulations on 400 episodes.
Yes. How about that, you guys? 400. How did she do that? That's a lot of talking.
It is. And
what was your favorite episode? Let's talk about your podcast career before we talk about this. So what was your let me interview you about your podcasting career. So when was your very first episode?
It was 4 years ago, but I don't remember the date. But it was 4 years ago.
And how long were you working on the first episode before you released it?
Not long. It was really more of I recorded, I think 3.
Okay.
Because it was recommended that when I, had it pushed onto Apple and Lisbon and all those things, that just similarly, is that a word? Whatever. To a blog, like a written blog, you don't want to just like launch a blog or a podcast with one episode. You want to do several. So I did 3. You know what? I did not record and re-record. I didn't do any of that. I was terrified. I didn't listen back to myself. I just said, fuck it. And I recorded it. And I had no idea if it was any good.
And what was your first topic?
I think I went with how to go from being in the corporate world to starting your own business, and sharing my story of how I did that transition and how I did it in a way where I wasn't like afraid I was going to be broke, like how to take how to start doing a side hustle and then make a little money from it, get some traction and then quit. Kind of like your story, except yours went went different.
I got fired. And so who was your first guest?
Oh my God, that's so sad that I don't remember. I don't remember who my first guest is. I swear. That's sad.
And you said that it didn't go so great in the beginning.
No, it did not go great in the beginning. It was not like your story where your show really took off really quickly. Mine was slow to grow and had like a slower build. I was 5 months in and spending money on a producer, all the platforms, all the stuff, and not to mention all the time that goes into it. And I probably only had a total of 5,000 downloads. I'm not joking. In 5 months.
I just want you to know how good this bite just was.
Was it? Was this the mushroom brie?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Dr. Valerie said the entrepreneur episode changed my life. Oh, thank God. Oh, at least we know it was good.
When was that? The first one?
That was definitely like number 1, number 2, or number 3. It was really early on. I had people early on, even though like I'm a former TV newscaster and I have some clout. I mean, not much, but I have some clout. I had people, like I was telling you earlier today, I had people who like no-showed for a guest on a podcast. And I was like, I was embarrassed by it. I was kind of like, oh my God, like maybe people aren't excited to be on my show. Like it made me feel like I wasn't supposed to be doing this. I got all weird. I mean, but I just kept going. I kept going.
Has anything changed regarding format or anything about the show? Have you switched anything about the podcast?
Yes. What I've switched is I was putting so much pressure on myself for, I would say, even the first 2 years, that I had to have 1 guest episode a week and I had to have 1 solo episode a week. Like it was so much pressure for guests. And as you know, like not every guest is good. So you have to like source the guests, find the guests, get the guests booked. And like sometimes that felt like, so heavy, especially when I have other things going on in my business and my life. So I gave myself permission. And I think it was during like quarantine times where I go, you know what, like, fuck it. Why don't I just see how the people feel about like some solo episodes? And you guys tell me in the comments, but I mean, whenever I've polled, it's like unless the guest is really great, you guys prefer my solo episodes. And it taught me, and I'm hope you guys are learning from this, that first of all, the show isn't for me, right? It's for you guys and for me to ask. But I know you'll get this given like you're an adult child, but I couldn't comprehend that you guys would want to just listen to me. that I was enough for you to just listen to me and not a guest.
I've gone through the same thing.
That's the shit that happened. Really?
Yeah, my very first episode obviously was alone. And then I started doing guests. And then I had all this fear when I finally did another solo. I was like, why would people want to listen to me for the whole hour? And then I was like, Andrea, like, you are this podcast, you know? And so, I said that in my episode. I said, I want to be honest that I've been hesitant about doing another solo podcast because what my head is telling me is that you guys aren't going to want to listen to me the whole time. And I told myself that was bullshit, you know?
And what is the truth? The truth is they enjoy those episodes as well, right?
Yeah. And I had somebody say that they would prefer more of them. But I mean, for me personally, I think that part of my gift is my ability to interview people. Like, it is that's part of my gift.
And I want you guys to know this because we all make assumptions about people. I mean, people who don't know me, they're like, well, this bitch is crazy. I mean, I did have this made for myself. But a lot of people we all do make assumptions. And I think someone seeing a show like yours, which, by the way, I have a lot of people who are in the mindset, healing, psychology space. And that's what her show is, in that recovery headspace. And a lot of you assume, oh, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a therapist to do that. She must be a professionally trained broadcaster. Maybe she was in radio. Maybe she was in a B-rated reality show. Although I think you should be, but none of those are true. You were a fucking accountant.
Yeah. Hi, Dawn.
So she was an accountant, you guys. Like, well, is a CPA the same as an accountant, or not really? Is that rude that I called you an accountant?
Certified public accountant. Not all CPAs are accountants, but not all accountants are CPAs.
Oh, Jesus. Do you know that, like, that's the class I had to take pass fail on during my master's? I didn't understand it. Couldn't do it. Andrea's very smart.
It doesn't.
Well,
she's
very smart
about it is because with like debits and credits,
that's my problem.
Yeah. Like, it's the opposite, right? So like, we think like a debit, we think that's, well, whatever. Debit
that's
is when
exactly.
Money. Credit is when you spend money, and it's kind of the opposite. And
yes, I don't like it. Who invented that? That was stupid. So her background has nothing to do with podcasting. It's not like she was a TV major or a journalism major or anything, and it doesn't fucking matter. So I want to get into, as I know you're interviewing me and now I'm interviewing you back, but I want to get into what we were talking about earlier, where not everyone, Tiff, I'll ship you a great bourbon, no more white cheddar popcorn. I would have white cheddar popcorn with the bourbon.
Wait.
Yes.
Tiffany has never had white cheddar Cheez-Its.
I have not. I didn't even know they exist. I didn't even know they existed.
I know, that's tragic.
Did they give I like with a snack, I like getting
residue.
Residue.
Yeah,
the residue on my fingers. And then I do a full scraping with my teeth. Like, it's very satisfying for me. Is that disgusting? Kind of. Okay.
No, I love it.
So I want you to talk about who isn't cut out to have a podcast. And it's not in a mean way. Not everyone's cut out to be an entrepreneur. The shit's hard, right? And that doesn't mean you're less than or someone's better than, but some people just aren't cut out for it. Who would you say is probably it's not a great fit to be a podcaster?
Well, I want to, at some point, talk about what we were talking about with that quote, like, where passion, purpose, and skill collide, true bliss reside. Because I think that kind of ties into this too, is like really looking at what you're meant to do. But who is not? Here's the deal, y'all. There's like a weird, I don't know if that's you or me. It's like a weird noise, like things? A staticky thing. It went away.
I don't hear anything.
I think it's like your fork or knife.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry. Okay.
No, it's not. I'm just kidding. So here's the deal. There are so many fucking podcasts, guys. Everybody has a podcast. everybody has a fucking podcast. So here's the deal. If you just want to start a podcast and you don't care, like if it's just for fun and you don't really care one way or the other how well it does, cool, go for it. But if you want to have a successful podcast, you have to have a very, very, very solid answer to the following question. What am I bringing to the space that doesn't already exist? So the answers to that could be varied, right? So for example, for me, let's take my podcast. So under the adult child lens, there weren't that many podcasts, okay? There's only like a few. I don't know what the staticky noise is. I don't know if it's
I don't hear anything.
You. Okay.
You guys can let us know if you hear something. I hear nothing.
Okay. It keeps going away. So my podcast, there's not a ton of adult child podcasts out there, and the adult child podcasts that were out there were all officially linked. Oh, they hear it too. It went away. I can't hear it anymore though. So sorry, I feel like this is getting totally butchered. Okay, so my podcast, there were not a ton of adult child podcasts out there, but the podcasts that were adult child related were all officially linked to the 12-step program. Okay, so that's what I'm doing differently, is that one, I'm bringing a podcast and a subject that doesn't have a ton of material, and I'm taking a different spin on it. Yes, 12 steps are included, but I'm also covering a ton of other healing modalities. So it could be one, like bringing a topic that maybe there aren't a lot of podcasts on it. If it's not that, it's like, okay, I'm making a podcast, there's already topics on it. So what is like different about mine or my show that I'm going to produce? The other thing is tone, like, or style, right? So like, what's my tone? What makes my podcast unique is that I am raw and I am vulnerable and I'm filterless, but I also include a shitload of humor and self-mockery. Whereas all the other podcasts in this space are very serious, but there's not like levity to it. So when it's like, who shouldn't start a podcast? Not everybody has the gift to gab. Yeah, it is back. I hear the thing too. I don't know what it is, but whatever. You guys can still hear us even though there's background. Not everybody has the gift to gab, unfortunately. Some people just have better presentation skills, and so yeah, I think
I would also say, to your point of, the passion, if you're just doing it so that you can get leads for your business, or book sales, or, something like that, or press for whatever you do, don't do it, because you have to really, really love it. You can't fake that. And it's a lot of time. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of work, especially if you're doing what Andrea does. She does everything herself, all of it.
Maybe that's why I got fired.
So if you're doing all that shit yourself, you have to really love it, but it comes across if you're passionate about it. So don't just do it as like a business tool. In fact, I don't want you doing anything if it's a business. Like, don't just have an Instagram for the business. Don't do TikTok just for your business. It's not gonna make you money. I promise you, if you're not super into it.
And also like authenticity.
Why does that word annoy me now?
I'm somebody that's like,
I feel like a lot of people are like, oh my God, I'm so authentic. It's like, it has to be like true authenticity. I do need a virtual assistant. Yes, that's Julia, you asshole. She didn't like the shit, fill out an application. Which is amazing.
Let's talk. I'm authentic.
Yeah, exactly. And you are, but you can't fake that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Thank you. People can feel authenticity. Definitely feel it from both of you. Yeah. Okay. See, authenticity is overused. it's just being real and raw, and not almost like people kind of get into like a TV version of themselves, I mean, you read these emails that some people send you and they're nasty because Andrea makes sure, her real self, she's polarizing. She shares the truth. She's like not mean to people, but like you share your truth. But like, yes, when you do that and you're polarizing and you're straight up, you do get some people who send you nasty shit. But wouldn't you agree that 95% of the people, it's beautiful stuff?
It's like 99%.
Yeah, it's a high percentage. I would say mine's like 95, 96. People really hate when I talk about God. I'm going to say God a few times now. How about I say God and drink and swear?
Well, okay. Well, but you know what? That brings up another excellent point, is that starting a podcast, guess what? Like, not everybody is going to love it. And so you have to be like in a place where you think like that's going to be okay, that you're going to be able to, handle the fact that a lot of people that some people aren't going to like it. And they might make it very apparent to you that they don't like it. So the thing that I've noticed about my podcast, and so similar to you, I think we kind of get similar feedback about like, they don't like that I curse, right? So some of the messages that I get are so I curse a lot. And since I'm one of the few podcasts on this subject, that I therefore should make sure that the podcast is appealing to every single adult child. Like since I'm like one of the few, then therefore it's my job to make something that's appealing to every single adult child out there. And that goes like completely against what it means to be an adult child, first of all, like, or what adult child recovery means, and why I started this podcast. Like, I started this podcast to be my 1000% vulnerable and authentic self. I didn't start it, yes, also to like help other people, but I didn't start it to like help every single person out there and filter myself while doing so.
Why do you think your show, because I coach a lot of people and I've launched a lot of successful podcasts for clients, and you're probably in the top 5% in terms of rapid growth of downloads of your show, of reviews of your show.
I think you know the answer. What do you, I mean?
I think one, it's what you said. It's your category. You actually strategically took a look at where there's a hole in the subject matter in the market.
I saw that, but that's not like why I picked the topic.
Right. You already wanted the topic, but you looked at it and went, how can I make this different? Or how can I make this better? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you did, but I think it's talent. There's a talent aspect to it, obviously, but it's refreshingly honest.
Like, I don't want to sound like arrogant, but it's like, this is what I'm meant to do.
No, there's an it factor there.
So yeah. And I think that this ties into what I was talking about, this, got my vision board.
Do we get a show and tell of your vision board?
That'd
be exciting.
We could, but so it's, let me see that. It's this quote. So where passion, purpose, and skill collide, true bliss resides. So, let me pull up. The reason my podcast is as successful is because it uses my skill set to its full potential. It aligns with what I'm passionate about, and it aligns what I believe is my underlying purpose.
Yeah. And I know some of you watching are like, well, God, I don't think I have that like it factor, and I don't have that confidence like you and Andrea have. And I didn't have that when I started. I really didn't. I was like, I had some confidence because I'm a professionally trained broadcaster. So I did have, I'm not going to bullshit you and say I didn't have a little bit of a leg up, right? Because I knew how to produce a show. I knew how to interview. But I didn't go, God, I don't know if people were into me. Actually, my thought was, why would someone listen to me when they could go listen to so-and-so who's, famous or who in my niche as a business coach, right, who teaches people how to make consistent cash and clients online, well, they could go listen to like Tony Robbins. Why would they listen to me? And it comes back to, because it's me. You have to have some belief in yourself. And believe me, I don't have it all the time, but some belief in yourself that like there's people that need to hear you and hear your story in your way and in your style and in your voice.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
How many of you, drop it in comments, do you want a podcast? Like it might scare you, but you have something in your heart. I mean, I don't think you'd be on here unless you're just here because you're amazing and
well, maybe they like us.
Celebrating with us and you like us and you're celebrating the 400th episode, which you guys better write a fucking review of my show. If you're on here and you've not written a 5-star iTunes
if you
review,
haven't, then and you don't do it right now, get the fuck off.
I mean, seriously, it's unacceptable. That is another learning point that I want you guys to know. You have to get reviews of your show. How that algorithm works on Spotify and on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. If you have a consistent flow of reviews, it's going to push that show out as a suggested show to more people. If you don't have that, it's just not going to, just the same as like the Instagram algorithm that I teach you guys all the time. If you do not have comments from people, engagement, shares, right? The algorithm's not going to push it out because you're teaching it. Well, people aren't that into this. It's no different on Spotify and Apple. So the best thing you can do for shows that you genuinely like absorb the content and love is write a review. Now, if you want a show, you have got to ask for reviews. I've done giveaways for reviews. I straight up ask. What have you done for reviews,
fucking threaten people.
Andrea? Oh my!
I tell people that if they don't go and give me a 5-star review, that they are partially to blame for all the suffering adult children out there.
Oh my God!
And future generations.
Meanwhile, she has more reviews than I do, and her show's been out a year. So
yeah,
what she's doing is working.
How about this? Yes, I do threaten, but somehow I get away with it. So because I think that people can tell I'm authentic. How about this, you guys? How about every damn one of you on here? Maybe you haven't given either one of us a review. How about you go do that like right now? Or if you've given one for Tiffany and not me, or vice versa, how about you do that? How about we do that right now? Like, be a good human and go do that. Okay?
Because here's the thing. If you want testimonials from people for your business, if you want reviews for a podcast, book reviews, product reviews, whatever it is, but then you're not giving that, right? That's not how the law of attraction works. So I have to catch myself sometimes because I'm inherently lazy. But like, I think it was 2 weeks ago when I was in the bathtub, my second office, I sat in there and like restaurants I loved, cafes I loved, like locally from living here in Manhattan Beach. I went on and left probably like 10 reviews. And it was interesting. And I wasn't doing it expecting I was going to get reviews back. I did it genuinely. And it was fascinating because I did get a bunch of reviews. It's the law of like reciprocity, right? Okay, doing it now. Did we guilt you enough into this shit or what?
If you don't do it, you're going to put your head on the pillow tonight and you're not going to feel so great about yourself.
So what really, I mean, you started this, you started your podcast like very differently than me. You know, I did it Virgo style. I had all the ducks in a row. What do people really need to do?
Yeah. So I wanted to share about this. So as you know, and if you listen to my podcast, like I'm
getting more alcohol. I'll be back.
Part of, all right, thanks for signing up for Instagram. I won't get you yet, but dear Leather Heather, if I don't see that you give me a review, then I will come for you and all of your loved ones. So I hit this emotional bottom at 9 years sober, and I about my childhood. And then I also had the realization of like, I'm not living like in my purpose, and so I embarked on this journey to figure out why the fuck I was put on this earth. And so over the course of like the next few years, I started all these creative projects. Like I never viewed myself as creative. I'm scared. I never viewed myself as creative. I thought that creativity was like not something of value. And so I would start and stop all these projects, and nothing, like I'm sure we've all been there, right? Where you get like super jazzed about something like for like a week, and then you crap the bed and stop working on it. So finally, I had the idea for the podcast. I didn't think that this was something that I could do on my own, especially given my track record of like starting and stopping projects. So I found.
Oh, I see. Like you didn't think you were going to like truly follow
through. Because that had been my past. So okay. I decided to like look for help, because like in all the other things I had done, I mean, I wasn't doing it. And the fact that first of all, starting a podcast on my own seemed completely unrealistic. And two was also the concern that like, even if I could, I would always let self-sabotage win, and I would never fall through with it. So I went on Upwork, and I found I found this one girl who did like, I don't know, like script writing, she's creative, whatever. So I reached out to her, and her and her writing partner, I started using them to like help me conceptualize the podcast. And so they like came out with like they interviewed me for like several hours, and then they were going to come up with ideas for like each, they were essentially going to come up with the content and then write the content for like each episode. And it was it wasn't efficient. Like they were writing things, but then I was essentially changing the whole thing, and they just didn't seem to like fully grasp like the concept. Yeah. And so I ended up like cutting cords. I also couldn't really afford it, but I needed to do that, right? I had to ask for help. The stream isn't working.
Really? Let us know if you guys can't hear us, because on my end, everything looks good.
I needed to ask for that help in order for me to realize that I could do it myself.
Wow. So that's how you ended up doing the show yourself, and you edit the show yourself. Now, the editing part is what stresses most of the thought of editing it and then having to publish it and getting it on all the places and the different platforms. That is what stresses a lot of people out the most. Like I think the talking part and maybe even interviewing part sounds fun, but it's all the admin-y stuff. So how bad is it to do it yourself?
I was trying to scroll up to I can't scroll up to the comments, but somebody asked if I used a script or not. So for the first several episodes, when I was really telling my story, like, and when I was talking myself for like 20, 30 minutes each episode, I did have scripts written out for that, but I wouldn't read them like word for word. I just had them kind of in front of me. And now I'm at the point where I don't have to write a script, and I can just kind of like talk off the cuff. But it's so weird, because I love public speaking, I love it. But for some reason, when I'm just trying to talk to myself, like when there isn't like an audience involved, I can't do it. It's really fucking weird.
So are the solo episodes harder for you then?
No, but that's, in the beginning, that was hard. Like in the beginning, for some reason, I would clam up when like, you can throw me in front of anywhere. I don't need a script, and I'm awesome. But for some reason, when I was just only talking to myself, I was like flubbing.
How did you figure out like how to do all the tech aspect, like what platforms to use and how to edit all this stuff?
The editing is like not that, it's not, I mean, it's a little bit time consuming, but not really. I would say that like I spend, I don't know, 2 hours at most editing the whole thing, maybe less, but I'm also listening to it.
So for one episode, and mind you, I want to make this point, you guys, she does one episode a week and I do 2. So what I want to say is like, give yourself permission if the thought of doing 2 episodes a week just feels like it's too much because you're doing it all yourself or whatever. You don't have to do
start
2.
with 1. I really don't get it though, because I hear podcasts and the audio quality is just like complete shit. And it's really like, yes, it takes a little bit of time, but it's really not that difficult to like make the audio sound okay. Doesn't it look like I have a fake background?
Yes, it does. What is that? Is that a picture?
No, it's my actual window.
Oh my God. You have an amazing view.
Yeah, I do.
She's in San Francisco. But you guys, look at my view.
Oh, man.
I have a microwave.
I wish that was a fake background because that would be amazing.
I mean, this is, I purposely, like, I have the ocean in front of me and I have a microwave behind me. But I wanted to make a point with you guys with, that I love, like, for those of you who don't know me, I love like having fun, wearing costumes. I'm all about the color purple. But I wanted you to see, like, it doesn't need to be that serious, right? Like, it doesn't have to be. If you saw the behind the scenes, which I'll take a video for my Instagram stories, I have this phone propped up on a cardboard box. Like it's not, you don't need to have all this stuff. I thought you had to have the best of the best equipment. So when I started, I invested a lot of money. I have a full podcast studio at my other house. Purple's the color of royalty. Thank you. And I have a full podcast studio there, like a professional, legit studio. And I thought that's what you needed. It's a beautiful microwave. I thank God, because I don't cook. I use it all the time. And now living at this beach house, this microwave, this microphone that I'm on, well, you guys can't hear me on it. We're recording it for something else. But this microphone I'm using, it was like $80.
And I just fucking do it in my closet.
But you use a microphone though.
Yeah. But you were saying the studio. Yeah.
Right. Well, when you interviewed me on your show, you were in your kitchen.
Yeah,
eating like spoiled bean dip or some shit.
I record my solo parts in my closet.
Because of the audio quality?
Yeah. And I like have a suitcase and like I prop like one thing up on my computer on my suitcase, and then I have a stack of like board games that I put my mic on.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. You see what I mean, you guys? Box. Like you don't need. And how many downloads do you have to date after a year? Or like
I looked at this morning. It's like 260K. I don't know why that was hard for me to get out.
In a year, 260,000 downloads. Think about that.
You guys, I don't have a fucking clue what I'm doing on social media. Like I have
I can attest for this.
I don't like it's all about you just have to have it's just quality content.
So for those people who are hanging here with us, who are like, God, I really do. I mean, I can call some of you out because I know
what are you guys
some
afraid of, or like what are your
like drop in comments. Like let's just get it out.
Also,
get it out there. What are you afraid of?
I can't see the comments of people who only follow you, which is
that's
weird.
annoying. Yeah. You're kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, that happens. It's so weird.
Well, I'll read them. So drop in comments, you guys. What is it? What's the hesitation for those of you who have a show? Like there's some kind of a hesitation there. And I want to know what that is. Is it the tech? Is it the time? You're making it. Usually it's because you're making it be such a much bigger deal than it is. Okay. Because I freaking forget things mid-sentence. Well, maybe you make that part of your show.
Well, yeah, but mine too. I just said it. Like then fucking just have a script in front of you. If that's how you have to start.
To help keep you on track.
Huh?
To help keep you on track.
Yeah, like I'm saying, like, yeah, try that.
Another person said, afraid of running out of content.
You could always like, okay, so for me, I was similar. I was only initially planning to do 8 to 10 episodes. I just today was my 54th. I just kept going. So like maybe you just like say you're going to make, I don't know, 6 episodes or 10 episodes, you know, and just see where it goes, you know?
Meaning like don't have such an attachment to it.
On that.
There's more people. Go ahead.
Well, so the other thing too is with talking about like bringing something different and new to the table, I think one way to do that is like instead of having it be like an long on, you know, standing podcast, you could have it just be a, you know, like a series, just like a narrative, like almost like it's like storytelling or whatever. So like instead of having a weekly podcast, you could like make it into like a story in some respect.
I see where it's like a 9 episode, you know, like mini series or something.
And so maybe that's how you stand apart. Like you put a different spin on like the format of it. You know, it's more like an episode.
And then it's not as much pressure.
It's like
right?
Yeah, like a true crime episode or like, you know, just you know, the series like that newspapers do and all of them just stay investigative, whatever you want it to be. So for example, some people that were on my podcast, they're interventionists. And I said, I think it would really be cool to have a 8 to 10 episode podcast about, you know, like interventions, like from beginning to end.
Oh yeah, that'd be a great idea. Katie Gibbons says there's too many people. And what is even step 1?
Step 1 is just figuring out what the fuck you want. I think it's just your first episode.
I do too. It's the first episode. And yes, you do have to have, I mean, there's certain not regulations, but there's certain requirements that you have to have in order to publish on Apple Podcasts and all the other platforms. You do have to have a podcast cover that's of like certain graphics. You do have to submit, I could be wrong on this. I think you have to submit a couple episodes.
No, I just did one.
Just one, and then it has to get approved.
Yeah. Here's the deal. Like before you do any of that stuff, I mean, that stuff's not too time consuming and it's pretty easy to learn how to do, but just figure out, like record your first episode. Just figure out like what you want your first episode to be. Instead of like setting all the other stuff up. Like that's the first step. And I can say for me, I spent, when did I start working on it? October. I was planning to release it in October, but then I didn't have my first episode until 6 months later in April. But I spent like a ton of time on those like first 3 or so episodes, like really fine tuning them.
I mean, the whole thing with the tech stuff, the tech and editing, because I know you guys, I knew the tech editing. Listen to my voice. My voice, I don't listen to myself back. My voice makes me cringe. I've been made fun of. Shut up. I've been made fun of for my voice my entire life.
Really?
It happened. Yep. I've been teased for my voice. People have mimicked me for my voice. You know, like mean teasing, like mimicked me, not where it was like kind of funny. And I do know I have a unique tone to my voice. And then like people will like hear me in a room and they'll be like, I knew you were here. I heard your voice. And I get like so awkward. I just don't listen to any of my shit back.
I love your voice.
Oh my God, that was nice
to hear. I want to be friends
with
you with a different voice. That's actually the only reason I am friends with you.
That was nice to hear. Thank you. But I'm still weird about it. Like I had to record some audio recordings for a project I'm doing, and I did have to listen back to it. And I was like, oh my God, this is fucking horrible. The tech editing, I don't edit. I did it the opposite of Andrea. I don't want to do any work, basically. That's my plan. But I also, you guys have to understand, like I was willing to invest in having a producer and having someone edit it and having a coordinator.
Well, you got a lot of other shit going on. I don't.
Right. And it's like I was willing to do it because you want to know why? If I didn't pay someone, there wouldn't be a show. I'm telling you, I wouldn't have done it. You have to be honest with yourself. If you don't think If that one thing is holding you back that much, then you have to outsource it. Then it's worth the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that otherwise you're not going to do it.
So I use a tool called Audacity. It's a software. It's free.
I do too.
Yeah.
I didn't know you use that.
You don't use it?
Yes, I do.
Your people do.
For my solo, I don't use it. Okay,
yeah,
but I wanted to
you don't. You're like, no, you don't. You said you don't do
it. I do things.
It's pretty easy to do. And honestly, if anybody wants to reach out, I can like very simply show you what I do to edit them. So, I mean, it's really just getting rid of the breathy noises and, you know, spit, all that stuff. But
the spit. I mean, I've listened to podcasts from people who would go for a walk and podcast and the audio wasn't great, but because they were so great, I was able to kind of like let go of that and tune that out. But I mean, this person was really good. I'm not the strongest communicator. I stumble on my words, lose my train of thought, and just overthink shit. I mean,
well, I guess the question is, why do you want to start a podcast?
Right. Like if you know that's like such a weak point, uncomfortable point for you, I would want to know why.
But is that legit? Like maybe that means you're not, maybe that means you're not supposed to have a podcast, or is this just fucking, just resistance and self-sabotage?
Right. It sounds like a story. Right. I feel like there's so many talking about the types of things I'd want to talk about already. Like there's so much, but you know what? There's so many people talking about everything.
Wait, is that a comment or you just said that?
Yeah, no, that was a comment.
Well, but that's what I meant. It's like, okay, yeah, there are, but so what's your unique spin on it? What is your, what is it?
And no one is sharing a story or an opinion in the way you are, because it's impossible for that to be the case. Right? That's impossible for that. I want to make sure you guys know this. For anyone who signs up new for the ProjectME Posse group coaching membership, you are going to get the Podcast Playbook from me. So this is an exclusive piece of content. It is a download printable that breaks down everything you need to start a podcast from scratch on a low budget, including the equipment, including what platforms, and like bare bones again. That what?
The equipment that you don't use.
Yeah, equipment you don't use, you don't need, like everything stripped down where it's like, this is what you need to do and let go of the rest. I fucking hate when people overcomplicate shit where they're like, well, then you need to do this and then you need to do that. Well, we already do that enough for ourselves. I don't need someone else doing it too. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what other people have to say. I start rambling. I feel like I start rambling and don't make sense.
Well, I think again, get a script in place.
Yeah.
I had to do it for a while.
Yeah, there's a lot of tech stuff. And if you really want to show and the tech is what is scaring you, then it probably would make sense to pay someone.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, it's not that difficult. I'm telling you. Like, I figured out how to do everything. It's truly not that difficult.
I believe I could have figured it out, but I still knew I'm lazy and I still knew I wasn't going to do it. I knew it was possible, but I wasn't going to do it. So it's worth me paying someone to do it or there wouldn't be a show. But like, you don't have to have someone do it. Yeah, you can figure it out. But like, if you keep telling yourself, I've got to figure out how to do it. I've got to buy the equipment. I've got to figure this out. And you've been figuring it out for months. Now we have a problem.
For my first few episodes, I had somebody doing the sound editing for me. And he was really cheap. It was like, I don't know. I feel like it was $20 or whatever. And then one day for some reason he couldn't edit my interview. And so I was like forced to do it myself. And then I just figured it out and have been doing myself ever since. But you can get pretty cheap help.
Yeah. I mean, you can get overseas help. You can go on Fiverr or Upwork. Massage for Wellness asks, how do you know what to share? Like personal life shit. My guess is she's kind of asking how much to share about your personal life.
Well, who wrote this? What?
Massage for Wellness. She doesn't have a show. I know who she is. She doesn't have a show yet.
Well, what does she want it to be about?
I don't know that.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what she wants it to be.
Tell us.
So, I mean, listen, I don't want you sharing anything that is going to put you in a shame spiral. I don't want you sharing stuff that you're not ready to share yet because you've not processed it. You've not worked through it. So here's an example. Like she goes, okay, like infidelity or mental health. You have to be ready to share about your personal stuff and be able to handle that and not put it, not feel shame about it. As much as I share, there's a lot of shit you guys don't know about me. And not because I'm trying to hide it, but either it might out somebody else and I don't want to get sued, or it's not appropriate for me to share because it could out someone else, or I'm just not ready yet. I'm still working on healing that shit.
Yeah, if you wonder what she's talking about, just reach out to me and I'll tell you all the juicy secrets about her life.
It sounds like the podcast coaching is for me. What are the rates?
What are the what?
What are the rates for podcast coaching?
I don't know.
Well, I do.
Girl. I got time.
I do business coaching. But I do teach. I do help people start and launch their podcasts.
Well, how about you let me have this?
That what?
How about you let me have this one?
You can have this one.
Yeah,
do you want to coach someone on a podcast? You should do that.
Well, no, so I actually, as I told you, I want to start a podcast network, and part of that I want to be like help podcast consulting. So I would love to brainstorm and figure out just all of it. So whoever said that,
I feel like Instagram is going to cut. Don't they cut you off after an hour?
I don't know.
They might cut us off after an hour. So I want to make sure we wrap up with this. People want to know about, they want to know about using music. It looks like they want to know about using music and how to promote your show. Music stuff. Why don't you DM Andrea on that?
I'm pretty sure that I'm going to get sued. I
kind of feel like you are too, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So what I've done as of late is that I've switched it to pulling songs from SoundCloud. So like remixes of these songs instead of it having the actual official song. I've been getting them from SoundCloud because another podcast that I listen to, he signed through iHeartRadio. That's what he does. So that must be because it's no longer the original artist's work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so this is not official legal information, I must say. We don't know this is true. We don't know this is officially kosher.
Yeah.
So do it at your own risk.
This guy is a pretty big podcast, so I would assume so. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. But yeah.
And as far as like promoting your show, I think that's like a good place for us to like wrap up on because that's really important. You do not have to have some big following to start a show to gain traction on a show. Huh?
I had like 200 Instagram followers.
Yeah, I had probably like 2,000 followers total when I started my show. I had no email list. It's not like I had some big YouTube channel or some other thing like that. I didn't have any of that when I started. You don't need that. But what you do need is you have to fucking talk about your show. You have to be passionate about talking about your show and telling people to go listen to your show. I do want to ask you this. You monetize your show by using another platform that people can be a member on.
Yeah, Patreon.
And I just want to put that out there for you guys to like look into. And you have the link, don't you, on your Instagram? So if you want to see one way, Andrea, most of you who know me, that how I monetize my show. But if you want to see how she does it, she has basically like exclusive paid content, and you join a membership platform. And that's how she helps monetize her show on top of getting sponsors.
Yeah, so go check it out and sign up all your, while you're at it and help a girl out.
Right.
I need all the help I can get, y'all.
Do you see what she just did? Like 0 fucks and 0 shame in it, right? It's like, you've got to ask for what you want from your people. And when you put out good stuff, you're not shy or embarrassed about like being emphatic about telling people to listen. Like, I know my show's fucking amazing. Like, you're an idiot if you don't listen to it. I really know that. So I can be in full conviction about it. Right.
Yeah.
But if you're like, oh, well, my show's not that great, but who's going to listen?
Well, yes. And I also feel okay with like saying that stuff because I genuinely need support.
She's like, listen, my cheese habit is expensive.
Yeah. I mean,
we need cheese. She needs cheese. Help her cheese habit. For the love of God.
No, not my cheese habit. Help my living habit. I'm not there. Help me keep a roof over my head, guys. That's what I'm saying. I'm not looking for like cheese money. I'm looking for roof money.
Oh my God. Did you guys love this live podcast? How are you guys feeling about it?
What if we had a show together? What would you want us to talk about?
Yeah, if we did a show together, what would you without a doubt tune into? And by the way, I've eaten way too much fucking of this cheese and I'm going to have explosive diarrhea.
Well, it's better than being constipated.
Just so you know.
Yeah, well, didn't you say you were constipated earlier?
Well, I said like I was going to be constipated from my snack, which are the salted pistachio bits.
But then you balanced it out with Trader Joe's. That's awesome. I like that.
Salted. Yeah, I balanced it with the cheese. Oh, so they would listen to the fucking cheese reviews. They would seriously, you would tune in for that.
No, that would have a very short life.
I mean, there are a lot of cheeses. No, we're being serious though. What if we did a show like a once a week vibe? What would you be excited to listen to like while you're getting ready in the morning or whatever? Love the real money advice, serving all the peeps, more of the same. You're hilarious. Loving the content and the cheese. You need a cheese sponsor.
Oh, fuck yeah. What about, we were talking about having it be like broken picker thing.
So yeah, we were talking about like just the relationship disasters and navigating all of that.
Yeah.
And just like real life stuff, just like knowing the behind the scenes of the real life stuff that like you go through.
Yeah. Like, or if it's like, or like relationship advice from us, from two people who've really never had a successful relationship.
Right. Like right. Would you listen to a show where you're getting relationship advice from people who have no business giving it?
Yeah, I know. No,
but I kind of think we would give good advice, right?
I mean, exactly.
I mean, just keep on being real. We can't do this BS on Instagram. Real life that you deal with and how you handle it. That's what Lizzie Phillips says. Okay.
What?
We hear you. Well, I love that you guys joined for this. Thank you for being such incredible supporters of ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, and our 400th episode. I appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, and thank you so much for Tiffany. Let's give her a 400 claps.
Thank you.
Hey,
and those of you guys who are new to me and you want to make money online, you want to monetize your passion, or you want to share it, get your story out and help more people, definitely listen to my show. I talk a lot about that stuff. I really appreciate you guys coming on. And again, if you guys join the ProjectME Posse group coaching membership, you are going to get a major special bonus right now. So that link is inside my bio on Instagram. So you can just go right there. Thank you guys. I love you. Yes.
Go give us a damn 5-star rating on
Spotify,
okay? Can you just go do that right now, okay?
Yeah, if you do nothing else, just you can write us both a review. And if you want to show your appreciation for this, it's ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast. ProjectME is one word, and the Adult Child podcast. It's very easy.
Go get it.
Go get it. Love you guys. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
That was so fun. And I'm going to stop eating cheese now and go shit myself.
I'm jealous.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye, guys. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.